Picture this. You're at the departure gate and your phone boarding pass is already glowing with that satisfying QR code. When the agent leans in with a slightly apologetical look on her face and she whispers, "I'm so sorry, but we're oversold. Your seat no longer exists." Your stomach drops, right? You've booked, you've paid, you've planned, and now nothing. By then, you're taking this personal, right? Well, here's the kicker. You're far from the only one this has happened to. Trust me. Around 6 million people worldwide hear that exact phrase or sentence every single year. Now, don't think for a second that airlines are just sloppy or disorganized or, oh, no, no, no. What you've just experienced is the sharp end of a calculated multi-billion-dollar wager that they make, betting that a certain number of passengers simply won't show up. It's a sophisticated gamble baked right into their system. Stick with me until the end because I am going to peel back the cockpit door and look inside this high-stakes casino. By the time I'm done, you will know exactly how that gambler works, why it's not just legal, but it's a fundamental part of the aviation industry, and most importantly, the precise moves that you can make to ensure that you're never unlucky, you're never the unlucky chip that they cash in. Airlines call it overbooking. For us travelers, it's nothing short of a nightmare. You did everything right. You booked your flight months in advance. You paid hefty fees, and you even meticulously selected 12A, that coveted window seat with just a little bit more legroom, only to find someone else comfortably settled in it on the day of your flight. The frustration is absolutely palpable, and it feels incredibly personal, as I said. But believe it or not, it's not about you. It's pure, cold, hard mathematics. I know. It's not fair. Yeah, I know that. But think about it from the perspective of the airlines. They simply lose money on empty seats on every flight. A lot of money, too. The fare you paid does not cover the cost of your specific seat. It has to contribute to an enormous list of expenses, such as jet fuel, which fluctuates widely, the salaries of the pilots and flight attendants and ground crew as well, airport landing fees, air traffic control charges, aircraft maintenance, insurance, and a whole host of operational costs. Every empty seat represents 100% revenue leak for that specific flight. It's a cost that cannot be recovered, and the airlines know it. So to hedge against this financial bleed, airlines intentionally sell more tickets than there are physical seats on the plane. They might sell the same seat twice, sometimes even 3 times, relying heavily on the historical patterns and sophisticated data to predict how many people won't show up on the day of the flight. This practice isn't new. All airlines do it. It actually dates back to the schedule manuals of the 1950s. But today's version, it's light years ahead, powered by cutting-edge machine learning models that crunch data and update their predictions in milliseconds, aiming to get every single flight as close to 100% capacity as possible. It's a relentless pursuit of efficiency designed to ensure that the plane isn't flying with costly, empty real estate. Now let's talk about numbers because that's where the airline strategy becomes clear. Imagine a typical domestic flight with 180 seats. An airline might confidently release 195 tickets for sale for that very same flight. How do they arrive at that seemingly risky number? Their algorithms are constantly at work, ingesting and analyzing an incredible amount of data, often 18 months or more of historical no-show patterns. This isn't just basic stuff. It includes granular details. I'm checking my mic. Like the day of the week, proximity to holidays, the specific fare class purchased, This includes a business traveler on an expensive and flexible ticket, which is less likely to be a no-show than a leisure traveler on a basic economy fare, and even local sports fixtures or major events that might cause last-minute cancellations or missed connections. So they look at everything. All this data gets crunched to spit out what they call an oversale authorization. If the model, based on its vast data set, predicts that on average 3 passengers won't show on that day for that particular route, then selling 3 extra seats seems like perfectly a safe gamble to the airlines. It's a calculated risk with a potentially huge upside. The trouble, of course, strikes when the forecast turns out to be wrong. What happens when everybody does show up? That's when the musical chairs begin. I call it the musical chairs. Multiply that miscalculation not just by one flight, but across an entire 500 aircraft fleet operating thousands of flights per day, and the stakes become huge. Get it right consistently, and an airline carrier can rake in an extra $100 million or more a year in pure revenue. Get it wrong? They're going to shell out not just vouchers for future travel, but often hotels, meals, and significant cash compensation, especially under strict EU regulations that can mandate up to £600 per bumped flyer passengers. But that's the gamble that the airlines are willing to take, because over thousands and thousands of flights, the law of large numbers consistently favors them. They're playing the long game, and on average, they usually win. Deep inside what you might imagine as a futuristic revenue management bunker, high-skilled analysts are working in the background with incredibly sophisticated software so the airlines can get it right. Here, every single seat on every flight isn't just a seat. It's assigned to one of what could be called 24 to 77 different fare buckets. Think of these buckets as distinct categories, each with its own price point, its own set of rules, and crucially, its own oversale ceiling. These aren't just about how much you pay, but also the flexibility of the ticket, the refundability, the baggage allowances, and even the likelihood of a no-show. The software isn't static. It's a living, breathing entity that continuously reforecasts in real time. If the system detects a sudden surge in business travelers showing up promptly for Monday morning flights, the model instantly tightens its oversale predictions, reducing the number of extra tickets that it will allow. So it's a game, a data game. Conversely, if weekend leisure flyers on Sunday nights start turning flaky with more cancellations and no-shows, the model loosens its restrictions by permitting more overbooked seats. This dynamic system employs something called nested inventory. This means that a specific seat like 12A isn't fixed in value. It can literally morph throughout the whole day on different airlines. It might start as a $79 basic economy ticket. Then as demand shifts and the departure time looms, it could become a $499 last-minute corporate fare, all while the oversale counter for that flight ticks up or down based on the latest predictions. The ultimate goal here is something called stochastic optimization. That's just a fancy name for maximize revenue as much as possible, while simultaneously keeping the probability of involuntarily bumping a passenger under a very specific tiny percentage. And this is often around 0.5%. However, not all airlines play the same rules. No, they don't. Some airlines like Frontier Airlines and American Airlines are known to push that probability closer to 0.9%. That means a higher chance of you getting bumped. Others, like Delta and Allegiant, hover at much lower, like 0.1%. That seemingly small difference in percentage points, it translates into tens of millions of dollars in either direction for the airline directly impacting their bottom line and your travel experience. So what happens when the algorithm makes a rare miscalculation, or when simply too many people show up? That's when the gate agents find themselves in a tense game of musical chairs. Their first move is almost always to ask for volunteers. I'm sure you've heard that. They'll offer travel vouchers, often worth a few $100s, hoping that somebody is flexible enough to take a later flight. From the airline's perspective, these vouchers are brilliant. They cost the airline pennies on the dollar compared to cash. They're essentially future revenue, a promise of a flight that you might or might not take. And they keep hard currency in the airline's pocket instead of dealing with refunds, because they have your money already, and just give you a voucher for that. Well, what if there are no takers, no volunteers? What if everybody wants to go on that specific flight? That's when it's time for EDB. What that is involuntary denied boarding. And that's where knowing your rights becomes absolutely crucial. So I need you to listen. In the United States, federal rules are pretty clear. If you're involuntarily bumped, the airline owes you 200% of your one-way fare in cash. And that's up to $775 for delays under 2 hours. If the delay is longer than 2 hours, that compensation jumps to 400% of the fare, the one-way fare, and that's capped at a significant $1,550. Now, if you're flying in or out of Europe, the laws are even stricter. Under the EU 261 regulations, you're looking at a minimum of £250 for short-haul flights and £400 for medium-haul flights, and a substantial £600 for long-haul journeys. On top of the cash, EU laws also mandate meals, phone calls, and even overnight hotel stays if you're stranded. Savvy passengers, knowing this, have started to negotiate. That's why I want you to know all these things. If an agent offers a $400 voucher, the passengers or you should negotiate for a higher cash amount or a more generous voucher plus a hotel room and meals for that matter. Passengers understand that airlines prefer store credit to hard cash payouts, or what we call refunds. The good news, though, even when an airline has to pay out compensation, they rarely lose more than the extra profit that they already made on that initial seat gambit. It's a calculated business cost, not a financial disaster. All right, so how do you stay off that dreaded bump list? How do you ensure that you're not one left standing in the airport when the music stops and there are no more chairs to sit on? Don't worry, I got you. I do. Let's continue. Here's your personal defense playbook full of actionable tips. Number 1, check in online exactly 24 hours before your flight. This is probably the easiest and most effective step. The system often tags late check-ins as high risk for bumping because it suggests that you might be less committed to the flight, or you could be running late. Checking in early signals to the airline that you're serious about flying on that day, giving you that slight edge for not being bumped. Number 2, avoid basic economy if you hate surprises. Those super cheap basic economy fares almost always sit at the very bottom of the bump line. Why? Because you're generally considered a less valuable customer to the airline who paid less and has fewer ties to the airline. Airlines are more likely to bump passengers with basic economy tickets first to protect their higher paying and more loyal customers. Number 3, choose your airline wisely for flexible routes. If your travel plans are somewhat flexible, let's just say, consider flying with airlines known for lower bump rates. As we mentioned, Delta and Allegiant consistently hover around 0.1%, making them a much safer bet than carriers like Frontier or American Airlines, which have significantly higher rates. Number 4, join the loyalty program. Even if you fly once a year, this is huge. Even if you don't have elite status, simply being a member of the airline's loyalty program can make a whole lot of difference. The airline's computers are programmed to protect their own passengers first, prioritizing members over non-members when making bumping decisions. It shows that you have connection to the airline, no matter how small the connection. Number 5, pack light and be ready to volunteer strategically. If you have minimal luggage and no tight connections, you have a powerful bargaining power. When the agent asks for volunteers, don't just accept the first offer. No. If they offer $400, counter offer with $600 plus meal vouchers, or even ask for future flight credits for a specific destination. That's how you do it. Agents often have discretion, especially as boarding pressure mounts and they get bombarded by other passengers, and they desperately need to get the flight out as well. Your flexibility is valuable. Number 6, know your compensation ceiling. Arm yourself with knowledge. That's why you're watching this video. When you approach an agent to start negotiating, quote the DOT regulations in the United States or the EU 261 in Europe. That shows the agent that you're well informed, and this discourages low-ball offers and empowers you to negotiate for what you deserve. Don't be afraid to assert your rights. If you're craving the full dossier on navigating the airline system, we are talking about hidden city loopholes, those sneaky 48-hour fare drop tricks, and even the exact email template that gets you compensation within 5 days. Then you absolutely need to grab my ebook. I'm telling you, I'm giving you some stuff. My ebook is the Airline Secrets 2025, Outsmarting the System from Booking to Boarding. It's more than just a book. It's the field guide that I desperately wish I'd have during my craziest travel years when I flew over 100 times. Don't leave money on the table or get stranded unnecessarily. You shouldn't travel without this ebook. It's valuable. It's the first link in the description. Go get your copy now. It has much more than what I'm telling you in this video. Now let's address the elephant in the terminal, the ethics of all of this. Critics argue that overselling flights is just another abstract asset to be traded and optimized. It feels dehumanizing, I should say, turning a traveler's guaranteed seat into a problematic gamble. However, airlines have a powerful counter-argument. They claim that without the ability to overbook, base fares would inevitably rise by 5 to 8% in the industry. Why? To cover the substantial losses incurred from all those no-show passengers. It's a cost that they argue would be passed directly onto everyone who flies. We even saw a real-world example of this when Europe's Ryanair, known for its budget fares, famously floated a no overbooking guarantee back in 2018. But guess what? They quietly reinstated limited oversales just the very next quarter after the percentage of seats filled dipped significantly. Yeah, don't gamble those seats. Empty seats, even just a few per flight, quickly starts to erode their profits. So they had to make a switch. The uncomfortable truth for the fear-hunting public is that we actively reward airlines that gamble. When faced with two options, a slighter pricier ticket with a guaranteed no overbooking policy or a cheaper ticket from an airline that plays the odds, booking data consistently shows that we choose the cheaper option every single time. So the cycle continues. Airlines make their bet, a few unlucky passengers lose out, but the vast majority win with generally lower average ticket prices. It's a bargain passengers collectively, if unknowingly, agree to. The game, however, is constantly evolving, with technology rapidly tilting the table. Advances are steadily shrinking the window of uncertainty for airlines. We're seeing real-time biometric check-ins and facial recognition boarding gates becoming more like common things that people are getting used to, making it harder for passengers to be late or no-show without the system knowing it is instantly. Dynamic rebooking apps can swiftly reassign passengers to other flights if a problem emerges, minimizing the impact of miscalculation with overbooking. These innovations mean airlines have a much clearer real-time picture of who is actually going to show up and who isn't. Some forward-thinking airline carriers are even experimenting with entirely new models like flex fares. With these, you might bid for compensation upfront at the time of your booking, not when you get to the airport and try to negotiate. This essentially turns the overbooking gamble into a transparent, agreed upon set of odds. This means that you know exactly what you get if you're bumped, and you are agreeing to it, making the risk more predictable for both parties, you and the airline. Other airlines are exploring even more speculative technology like C token NFTs that could be traded like concert tickets. Yeah, you heard me. In theory, if your seat is a digital asset, you can sell it. And by doing so, this could eliminate the need for traditional overselling altogether. But let's be realistic though. Until the relentless pricing pressure on airlines significantly eases, and let's be honest, that's unlikely to happen anytime soon. You can expect this multi-billion-dollar wager to remain a fundamental, if often hidden, part of your confirmation email. It's too profitable for them to abandon. They don't want to do that. There's money on the table. So here's the ultimate takeaway. Your airline ticket isn't a mortgage to a confirmed seat. It's not guaranteed. It's more like a futures contract in an airline's high-stakes casino. Overbooking is a sophisticated strategy, as you can see. It undeniably pads the airline's bottom line. It helps fund those cheap fares that we all love, and yes, a tiny fraction of us gets stranded in the process. But now you are armed with knowledge. You got the information. You know the travel game. So next time you fly, remember to arrive early, check in fast, and if the dice rolls badly and you find yourself facing an overbooked flight, leverage those compensation rules that you now understand from this video. When you hear that gate agent ask for volunteers, don't just feel like a victim. Remember, that's the sound of an algorithm that for once miscalculated, and you, my friend, now hold the cards and the power. Please subscribe for more Travel Insider Scoop and drop your own bump story below in the comment section so that we can hear it and learn from it. Yeah, I'd love to hear that. And please share this video with that friend who still naively thinks a ticket is equal to an ironclad guarantee for a seat. Because now you know that it's not, it's really not, it's just a high-stake bet. And you have to know how to gamble. I hope you found value from this video. Please hit that notification bell as well, because in the next video, I will be sharing 25 stunning airport and airline secrets they hope you don't discover. You, my friend, don't want to miss that video. Thanks for watching. Safe flight, and see you in the next video.